Beverley Allitt, also known as the Angel of Death, is one of Britain's most notorious serial killers. In 1991, while working as a nurse at Grantham and Kesteven Hospital in Lincolnshire, England, she committed a series of horrific crimes against children under her care. She was convicted of murdering 4 children, attempting to murder 3 others and causing serious injuries to 6 more. Allitt's crimes took place over a 59-day period, February to April 1991, at Grantham and Kesteven Hospital in Lincolnshire, central England, which has a population of nearly 100,000, a third of whom are children. More than 2,000 babies are born each year, most of them at Kesteven Hospital. Despite failing her nursing exams, Allitt was hired on a 6-month temporary contract at Grantham and Kesteven Hospital due to staff shortages. During her 2 days on the children's ward at Grantham and Kesteven, the 23-year-old nurse showed great enthusiasm for her work. No one knew about her past or thought twice about letting Allitt approach the vulnerable children. She seemed to pay close attention to the patients, although she strangely never picked up a crying child and showed no emotion when one died. On February 21, 1991, 7-week-old Liam Taylor was brought to the hospital by his parents with pulmonary congestion. When she met Liam's parents, Allitt assured them that the baby would be in good hands and advised them to go home and rest. When they returned to the hospital, Allitt informed them that Liam's condition had worsened, that he had been taken to the emergency room and was recovering. When Liam's condition improved, Allitt again assured his parents that she would take good care of him and monitor him closely. She even volunteered to work overtime on Liam's second night in the hospital. Liam's parents decided to stay in the hospital and sleep in a room next to his. In the middle of the night, Liam had trouble breathing, but the doctors at the hospital thought he would be fine and left Allitt alone with him. Things then took a turn for the worse. Allitt asked 2 nurses to get her some things. When one of the nurses returned, she saw Allitt standing next to Liam, her face pale as a corpse. Red blotches appeared on Liam's face, and his heart had stopped. Allitt shouted for help. The nurse on duty with Allitt was confused. If Liam had stopped breathing, the alarm would have sounded. The doctors rushed to try everything to get Liam breathing again, but they failed. They had to put him on a ventilator. Poor Liam had suffered severe brain damage and there was nothing they could do to save him. Liam's parents had to make the heartbreaking decision to take him off the ventilator and let him go. Liam, who had no history of heart disease, had suffered a mysterious heart failure. Beverley Allitt witnessed the entire process of resuscitating Liam, without saying a word, then quietly put on her coat and went home. No one asked her anything even though she was always by Liam's side. After that, Allitt went back to work as if nothing had happened. Allitt killed people and believed that no one knew about her heinous crimes. Over the next 2 months, Allitt attacked 9 children, 4 of whom died. However, to the victims' families, Allitt was no different from a benevolent angel, who was always there when they needed her. How could someone who cared so much be so insanely evil? Things started to get worse. On March 5, 1991, 2 weeks after Liam Taylor died, Ward 4 had another patient. Timothy Hardwick, 11, suffered from cerebral palsy and was having seizures. Allitt quickly took charge of his care. She was quite concerned for Timothy, but within minutes of being alone with him, she rushed to call an ambulance, shouting that his heart had stopped. The doctor rushed to Timothy, found him blue and beyond saving. Timothy's death was completely unexpected. Even after a post-mortem examination, the exact cause of death was not known, although the paperwork listed it as epilepsy. 5 days later, little Kaylee Desmond, just over 1 year old, was admitted to hospital with chest congestion. It was clear that she had recovered well during the days under Allitt's care. But in the same bed where Liam died, little Kaylee also suffered a cardiac arrest. Kaylee was resuscitated and transferred to a hospital in Nottingham. After a thorough examination, doctors there discovered an unusual puncture mark under her armpit. But that was it, without any investigation. At Grantham and Kesteven Hospital, in just 4 days, 3 more children had their health conditions deteriorated while under Allitt's care. After Kaylee Desmond, the next victim was Paul Crampton, 5 months old, who had pneumonia and recovered. But just before being discharged from hospital, He suffered insulin shock and almost fell into a coma 3 times. Each time he was saved from danger, the doctors could not understand why his blood sugar continued to drop. Immediately after that, Paul was transferred by ambulance to Nottingham with Allitt, and once again he suffered insulin shock. But Paul was lucky to survive despite touching the door of death. Similar to Paul, Bradley Gibson, 5 years old, after being with Allitt, also had high insulin levels in his blood and suffered a heart attack. He was also taken to Nottingham and luckily recovered. And this time it was Claire Peck, who had asthma and was on ventilator support in the treatment room. As usual, Allitt was alone with the patient. But just a few minutes later, Claire suffered a heart attack. Doctors rushed into the room and, after successfully resuscitating Claire, left her alone with Allitt. Once again, Allitt called out for the doctor. But this time, they were unable to save Claire. When she stopped breathing, one doctor said, "This should never have happened." At this point, the doctors at the hospital began to suspect that something was wrong. Why had so many children died or been in life-threatening conditions in such a short time? And importantly, the children were all being cared for by the same nurse. They performed an autopsy on Claire, and the result was that Claire died of natural causes. However, the hospital opened an investigation into the unusually high number of children who had suffered cardiac arrests in Ward 4 of the pediatrics department over the past 2 months. They checked for viruses in the air but found nothing. Tests showed an unusually high level of potassium in the last victim's blood, which added urgency to the investigation. However, it wasn't until May 2, 1991, that the hospital called the police in. They exhumed Claire's body for further testing and found traces of anesthetic in the tissues, a substance used in cases of cardiac arrest but only in adults. Police Officer Stuart Clifton believed the killer was at work at the hospital. He checked other cases and found that many children had unusually high levels of insulin in their systems. He also learned that Nurse Allitt had reported the key to the insulin refrigerator missing. He checked all the information, spoke to the parents of the victims, and installed security cameras in Ward 4. While reviewing the hospital's daily pediatric care logs, detectives discovered several pages missing. Those were the pages corresponding to the time Paul Crampton entered Ward 4. Feeling suspicious, they continued to examine 25 pages recording the care diary of 13 children, of which 4 children had died, to search for clues. The common point of the pages was clear. Beverley Allitt was the only person present in the care schedule of all 13 children. And on May 21, 1991, the death nurse was arrested. Allitt denied involvement in the murders and injuries of 13 children. She insisted that her only job was to take care of the children. She did not show any nervousness when questioned. However, when searching Allitt's house, the police discovered that some pages of the care diary were missing. Allitt was released on bail but was later rearrested and brought to trial on charges of murdering 4 children and 22 counts of attempted murder and causing serious injury. The trial of the Death Angel was particularly attractive to the British public. More than 200 reporters registered to attend the trial. For documentaries, 3 books and countless articles delved into the case. During the days when Allitt was still under investigation, tabloid reporters tried every way to hunt for news about this particularly serious serial murder. They pretended to be detectives to collect information, pretended to be home buyers, to find a way to approach one of Allitt's victims' families. The Allitt case attracted public attention not only because of the seriousness of the incident, but also because it reflected the overloaded and irresponsible state of the British health system at that time. During the investigation, the police discovered that the murderer suffered from 2 very serious personality disorders. So what syndrome did the death nurse Allitt suffer from? Because it involved medical science, the police had to invite good experts from all over the world to explain and analyze the case from a professional perspective. And the final conclusion was that Allitt suffered from both Munchausen syndrome and Munchausen by proxy. This may be the reason why Allitt could act without mercy towards weak children. People with Munchausen syndrome are those who pretend to be sick to get medical care. They often make themselves suffer from terrible symptoms by self-injury or injecting poison into their bodies to continuously go to the hospital for treatment. They do all of that to attract attention and care. If the doctor in this place suspects that they are pretending to be sick, they will find another doctor. Most Munchausen patients are male and can be a boy or an old man, but the syndrome is most severe in middle age. Patients always try to lie and hide their actions. Looking back, even as a child, Allitt always wrapped bandages around her wounds to get people's attention, but did not let anyone examine her. When she was a teenager, Allitt started to get fat, had a bad temper, liked to quarrel with others, and often complained about being sick, such as gallbladder pain, headaches, appendicitis, urinary tract infections, uncontrollable vomiting, poor eyesight, back pain just to get to the hospital. Once, she even convinced the doctor to remove her appendix when she was fine, and then the wound could not heal because she kept poking at the surgical scar. Allitt also injured herself with a hammer and glass. When she was discovered, she was transferred to another hospital. When Allitt became a nurse and worked in a clinic, she did strange things to get attention. She was suspected of plastering feces on the walls and putting feces in the refrigerator. When she had a boyfriend, she often pretended to be pregnant. When Allitt realized that faking illness no longer worked to get attention, she turned to child abuse. This behavior of hers is Munchausen by proxy, MHBP. MHBP was first identified in 1977 and is typically characterized by a mother who frequently takes her child to the doctor to treat mysterious illnesses that she herself caused but denies. This mother may feed her child unhygienic food to cause stomachaches, aggravate injuries, choke the child, or break the child's bones. In other words, people with MHBP often hurt others to get attention. This person felt it was important to save the child by taking him to the hospital. If the child remained sick, they would be relieved. If the child recovered, they would be angry. Psychiatrists who visited and interacted with Allitt in prison all believed that she had both of the above syndromes. However, no one could get Allitt to admit what she had done. While awaiting trial, she developed another psychological disorder, frequent fasting due to the fear of being fat, resulting in rapid weight loss. After numerous delays due to Allitt's strange illnesses, the trial finally took place. The jury clarified Allitt's role in each case. She was accused of causing the patient to lack oxygen by suffocating him or interfering with the oxygen machine. At trial, pediatrician Roy Meadow explained the two symptoms of Munchausen and MHBP and concluded that Allitt had both. In his experience, Mr. Meadow said, "People like Allitt are irreparable and a clear danger to others." Beverley's trial and conviction lasted nearly 2 months as she repeatedly used illness as an excuse to delay her trials. On May 23, 1993, the nurse of death was formally sentenced to 13 life terms for murder and attempted murder. However, instead of serving her sentence in prison, Beverley was detained at Grantham Secure Hospital in Nottingham. This is a secure facility, mainly used to detain people who have committed crimes under the Mental Health Act. Beverley began her attention-seeking behavior again, swallowing ground glass and pouring boiling water on her hands. The Home Office later placed Beverley on the list of criminals who will never be eligible for parole. In August 2006, she applied for a review of her sentence, but it was not accepted. Beverley is still serving her life sentence at Grantham Secure Hospital.
Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. And as always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next one.